This is music, and this is 525. Congratulations to Todd the Thrashing Zombie, on 525 subscribers. Go and check out his channel. It's a vinyl community channel, and it's a good one at that. He shows a lot of different styles of music, a lot of metal to be sure. Pretty much everything from glam metal over thrash metal to death metal. But he also shows rap music, classic rock, new wave, pop music, you name it. He does a lot of collection update videos. He has his listening booth series, which is kind of what's been spinning series. There's the 50 years of favorite album series, and he's done some really cool cassette tape haul videos. And he shows cassette tapes, vinyl, and CDs, which to me are the three major types of physical music media. So go and check out his channel. Now, to celebrate that he has reached 525 subscribers, he's launched a fun 525 themed contest. And yeah, I want to take part in the celebrations. So this is my entry into the contest. There are 3 tasks. The first one is to show 5 of your favorite albums within a genre or across genres. The second one is to talk about 2 bands that everybody else seems to like, but for whatever reason you don't like them. And the third task is to talk about 5 musicians who have been in at least 2 different bands and released at least 2 albums per band. In the spirit of Todd the Thrashing Zombie, I'm gonna show you vinyl and CDs and cassettes. As for question 1, I've gone with 5 of my favorite death metal albums. It's not a top 5, and it's not my only 5 death metal favorites. It's just 5 of my favorite death metal albums. Starting with this one here, I do consider Atheist to be a death metal band. I could have picked any of their albums, but I went with this one here, A Piece of Time, because that is their most death metal album, in my opinion. This is a masterpiece. To me, this is old school death metal, but it's very progressive too, and it has a pronounced influence from jazz fusion. There's some excellent bass playing going on here, and every song is a musical journey. This is the perfect album, in my opinion. Even the logo is awesome. So there you go. Up next, we got this one here, Carcass, Necroticism, Descanting the Insalubrious. This is a weird Polish cassette tape version I have. I also have it on vinyl and CD. This is another perfect death metal album, in my opinion. And I think this is also kind of progressive. It's not technical or anything like that, but there's just so many things going on in every single song. There's so many awesome riffs, and the guitar tone is fantastic. I like their combination of guttural death growls and more screechy vocals. They did that on the previous albums too, but it just kind of reached the zenith of perfection on this album. You do have a lot of grindy, blasty parts too, like from their past as a grindcore band. Um, Great album, another death metal masterpiece, in my opinion. Up next, yeah, this is probably my favorite death metal album of all time. Death Symbolic is my favorite death album too. And I know that if you are a true death metal fan, you have to have one of their 3 first albums as your favorite death metal album. Otherwise, you're a poser. Um, don't get me wrong, I love those 3 first albums too, but I have this as my favorite death metal album. And my favorite death album, and I don't care what the rules are uh, in the fandom. I don't care about that stuff. Uh, the perfect album, not a weak song on here. It's also kind of progressive, so maybe there's a pattern. And excellent drumming as well. Fantastic album. And this also played a huge part in getting me into death metal. So that's another reason why it's probably my favorite death metal album. Another album that played a huge part in getting me into death metal is Obituary The End Complete. This is a much simpler, old school style of death metal. And it's another perfect album. The drumming is again fantastic. I really like the simple riffs and how heavy the songs are. And I've always been a fan of their strangely fuzzy woolen guitar tone on their early output. Um, excellent album, perfect death metal album in my opinion. Not a weak song, but its title track is the standout track to me. And the fifth album I'm going to show, we kind of go back to the world of weird death metal. Pestilence, Testimony of the Ancients. This is also progressive death metal, also quite influenced by jazz fusion, also super weird, strange dry guitar tone, kind of weird sound effects all over the place, strange riffs as well, weird songs, and I love the album because of how weird it is. I think this is another death metal masterpiece. And again, don't get me wrong, I have a soft spot for their early output, especially the two first albums, which are much more death thrashy. But this is a masterpiece, and I love this album. And these are not the only five favorite death metal albums I have. I could have shown those Once Loyal by Bolt Thrower, for example. I could have shown Utopia Banished by Napalm Death. I could have shown Cosmogenesis by Obscura. I could have shown a lot of albums for sure. For question two, we're going to stay in the world of death metal. Two bands I just can't get into that everybody else, or at least everybody else who likes death metal, seems to love. And it's actually two kind of legendary and super important bands. And again, it's probably going to make a lot of death metal fans butthurt, and it's going to show what a poser I am. Again, I don't care. First one is Cannibal Corpse. Yeah, poser, huh? And don't get me wrong, the musicianship in Cannibal Corpse, it's there. They're great musicians. And I get the appeal too. Their music just doesn't appeal to me. And I've listened to their music a plenty. Way back in the 90s, the crew I would hang out with, a lot of them loved Cannibal Corpse. So we would actually listen to them a lot. And now we're talking their classic stuff even. And I've also gone back and listened to their, subsequent stuff over the last many years. And I don't know, the music just doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't do anything for me. And it's so weird because there are a lot of bands that take inspiration from Cannibal Corpse that I like, but I don't like their Cannibal Corpse themselves, their music. Don't know what it is. And the other band is Deicide. Yeah, I know, what a poser. Again, same story because the same crew that I would hang out with, they loved Deicide as well. So I've listened to their classic stuff a plenty, and I've gone back and listened to their subsequent stuff too, and same story. Just for whatever reason, their music doesn't do anything for me. I kind of find it kind of boring even. And again, there are lots of Deicide inspired bands that I like, but Deicide's music just doesn't appeal to me for whatever reason. I even saw them live once, and that was such a freaking boring show. Uh, I would say this was when Ralph Santalla was in the band, and he actually did a great job. He was a fantastic guitarist, and he was the only one who seemed to actually be having fun on stage. So yeah, I know, what a poser, but Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, although I love death metal, those two bands just don't do it for me. Okay, the last question. Five musicians who have been in at least two bands and performed on at least 2 albums per band. So we'll start with this band here, Invocator, Danish thrash metal band. The first album here is this one here, Excursion Demise. It's kind of super fast, frantic but technical death thrash. And they put out 4 albums, and the member in question is Jakob Hansen, who they put out 4 albums, and he's the only constant member, so he's been on 4 albums with Invocator. He would join a progressive metal band called Anubis Gate, and he would sing on 2 of their albums, including this one here, The Detached, him in the middle. He had to leave Anubis Gate 2 because I think his main income is he's a music producer, and he's so busy doing producer work. I think that it's probably hard for him to find time to make his own music. But there you go. That was the first member, or the first musician. The second musician is Kai Hansen, originally from Halloween. This is Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2, my favorite Halloween album. But he was also on Keeper Part 1 and on The Walls of Jericho. Then he left the band, and then he came back, and I think he's done 1 or 2 albums with them after he came back. So definitely, it's been on at least 2 albums with them, 3, 4. Um, when he left Halloween, he formed a band called Gamma Ray, and he put out a lot of albums with Gamma Ray. These are my 2 favorite Gamma Ray albums, so it's nice to have them in one set here. So that's cool. Power metal too, more lighthearted, I would say, uh, but still really good stuff. I really enjoy these 2 albums. The next musician is Saki, who she's been in a number of different bands. She was in Destrosa, she was in Mary's Blood, and she did at least a handful of albums with Mary's Blood. It's kind of a power metal band. Um, she would join a newly formed band called Nemophila, and they put out 3 albums. I think I have them all with her on guitars, and a couple of EPs as well. And then she left the band to pursue a solo career. She's a great guitarist, absolutely skilled and talented. So there you go. And the fourth musician is Adrian Smith, who did a lot of albums with Iron Maiden, including Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. And then he left Iron Maiden, and then he rejoined them and put out a lot of albums again after he rejoined the band. Um, he also has this band, kind of a 2-man project with Richie Kotzen, and they put out 2 albums. It's Smith and Kotzen. They put out 2 full-length albums and 2 EPs. Fantastic blues-based hard rock. Absolutely great stuff. So I think he counts too. And the 5th musician is from Judas Priest, and I'm deliberately showing Turbo because I like the album, and it's good fun. And a lot of people dislike it, and I'm just messing with those people. Yeah, Rob Halford from Judas Priest sang on most of their albums except for 2. Um, he left Judas Priest for a while and did some other projects, and one of them was kind of a groove thrash metal band that put out 2 albums, and that's Fight. This is War of Words. They put out another album too, and I actually think Fight is a great band too. So there you go. So that was my entry into Todd Guy, the Thrashing Zombies contest. Go and check out his channel. And again, congratulations on 525 subscribers. Thanks for watching.